Get ready for a test of the emergency broadcast system. The Forbidden History series, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Do tell your friends. Still time to call your friends, ladies and gentlemen. And thanks for doing that. This program is the sole paramount copyright and intellectual property of Desert Owl and MFG. All rights reserved. Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society. Nothing here is ever to be construed as medical nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History and the Great Lies of History 7 days a week right here on the RealPublicRadio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week on the RealPublicRadio.net and the Forbidden History series YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History series, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome to the Forbidden History and Other Lost Writings, the Piracy of Words, the greatest lies of history, and a whole lot more, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Desert Owl, and I'm just taken by that quote by Napoleon Bonaparte. History is a set of lies that has been previously agreed upon, and I don't think it can be said any better. Do you? And I just want to thank and welcome all of our friends and listeners out there right now across the country, wherever you are. And got over the last 3 days an opportunity to meet some very wonderful friends. Also, they are sky watchers officially, because I was following all of the phenomena going on up in the sky, and so it has been rather interesting to watch what's apparently coming our way. And thank you for the heads up, Lynn. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you could tell me how the audio is, 10 being the best, give me a number count. And hopefully we won't have any buffering tonight. If we have buffering, I did adjust the channel stream, and so it was for maximum output. It may mean there's a little more delay within the message getting out. In other words, a little more delay from me to you. But you know, that'll be better if our quality's better. So just glad that program last night was saved, and we didn't lose. You know, we didn't lose any of it. It was just broken into 4 segments. So glad that worked out. That's thanks to OBS, Open Broadcasting System, and a 10 all the way. I can't get over it. Thank you, Lynn. And so the Great Lies of History, ladies and gentlemen, we've been giving them out here and telling it like it is and like it isn't, and it's amazing to grow up in a world of falsehood, but yet isn't the darkness prevalent up in the sky? That's the symbolic nature of this world, this universe, that there's all of that darkness out there, then you got these little points of light. And so even though the light is dominant, yet it appears that the darkness is prevalent and pervading the world, and in many ways it is. Okay, thank you. 30-second delay. I'd like to know how you figured that out, but appreciate that, though. Then you have to tell me. So anyway, I just you know, it really does appear that we're at the end of the road here, ladies and gentlemen. I never thought I'd make it this far. You know, with all of the wickedness of a psychopathic world elite government in all the different nations of the world. There may be an exception out there, but I don't know where it is. Gaddafi was one of them, actually, rather interesting. And there were some others. The president of Panama way back, I don't know, was it the 1950s? You know, he took all the land from the corporations, gave it to all the peasants. Of course, the corporations were USA, CIA Incorporated, and therefore they took down the Panamanian president for being a benevolent good guy. And that's what they'll do. They take anyone down if they're not a player. It is a one world order, always has been since the recorded history. And so it's just rather rather profound world we have, ladies and gentlemen. Very tragic. But I've got some rather, I'm going to keep your attention tonight. I promise you, you will not be bored on the Forbidden History broadcast, okay? And so tonight, when we get to our segment on the great lies of history, we're going to talk about the lie of the serpent, okay? The lie of the serpent. And we're going to talk about what is the serpent? What is this? You know, it said that Eve was tempted by the serpent, and I didn't know that snakes could talk. You know, and so we're going to have to find out what that's really all about. You know, that we got our stories, like somebody said it well. You know, a Dick and Jane reader, see spot run, run spot run. What do you think, Jane? You know, and so that's the simple, you know, form. But what's ironic is they never taught us to read the symbol, and the symbol is the primordial, the fundamental, the original form of communication. Even Confucius says that signs and symbols rule the world, not words nor law. Okay, so put that feather in your cap, because you've got to be able to read the symbol. Did you learn symbolism? Did you become a symbologist? Are you able to get the sign? Because you know, the scriptures say very clearly that there is no knowledge, the people perish, and where there is no vision, people perish for lack of knowledge, and where there is no vision, the people perish. And the vision is being able to, you know, pierce the veil, but then to see the communication. In other words, how does the Great Spirit, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through Yeshua, speak to mankind? When it comes to interpreting dreams, remember Joseph in Egypt, he interpreted the symbolism within Pharaoh's dream. They were able to get the picture. And by getting the picture, then they knew that a tremendous event was coming, you see? And so we're going to start the ABCs of light tonight. And I'm going to show I'm going to start with the first three letters of the alphabet, because we got to go there. And because they're all kind of connected. You know, there's the trickery occurred a long time ago. And what's ironic, this is what's really ironic, is that the letters of our Phoenician alphabet, what's called Phoenician, it actually predates the Phoenicians. Phoenicians were also the Canaanites, by the way. The alphabet is the perfected ancient alphabet on your driver's license. Those letters you see there, although some of them are code, but they are the perfected alphabet, and no doubt they came through the Kabbalistic, you know, route, because they're holding the secrets, the you know, the secret societies, but they like to put it in our face, but they never tell us what it is. You know, they're all there, you know, giving the secret handshake and feeling real important and real clever to play the tricks on all of us while we're, you know, so dumb and can't figure anything out. But Yeshua is the revealer. That's really the beauty, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, I want to go back now to just last night real quick before we continue in the program. And by the way, before I get into the program, if anybody wants to call, you know, we do take a call, 608-566-7295. I'm still testing the audio. I've got a plan for upping the, you know, getting a special speaker that will go with the phone and give us more audio. But in the meantime, we can still take a call, because I want to get several calls to test it. And the first call we get in the evening gets a free copy of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary. And Lynn, you're asking me a question on phonics. Yeah, phonics is the Phoenicians, right? The phone, there's the phone, and they were phony too. You know, they were phonies, because they pretended through sneak attack. You know, that's typical to warfare. So they were very clever, and they were traders. That's where the word trader comes from. You know, the guy that sells you out, because they're you know, free trade was always good, right? I mean, you know, every version of NAFTA was just another version. So yeah, it's the play on words. And also, well, we could talk about you know, the definition. Oh, the Phoenicians, that's the definition. See, so they really locked it in on that word, because phone is like phonograph, right? And telephone, it has everything to do with sound. And and they had the code. They at one point used the code because those letters were the true Sanskrit. The Sanskrit in India today is what I call pseudo-Sanskrit because they switched the names out. That's how they played the tricks on us in history. They say, okay, we're going to call this that. Just like, remember last night I said they call the bottom of our feet the soul, when the top of our head is the soul. Our head itself is the soul. It is the processing unit of our being, right? And so they always reverse everything, and it's all about switch out. That's how just like they switched out Mitzrayim, right? Mitzrayim is the original word, and there never was in Egypt. It was always Mitzrayim, but then and Kemet is a part of the original, so Kemet Mitzrayim, can be hyphenated that way. But Mitzrayim was the dominant, and the suffix is the dominant in the words. So, but I want to go back to last night real quick. Oh, and I do want to test out Skype. My goal is to be able to test a phone call on Skype, because I'm thinking that that's really where we're going to get a good interview. And hello to all of our friends out there that are jumping on. And and the Skype is Free America Radio, Free America Radio, and that's a one word, Free America Radio. And when you do a search for it, it'll probably still say Kingsland, Georgia, even though I'm in Central Ohio. So it is. So I'm going back to last night real quick because I know I really unloaded an important great live history, which was dealing with the second coming. And so my question would be, because I should have interjected this one final point, because when Yeshua was on the tree, was on the burning tree, he said, "It is finished. It is finished." Okay. And then the next thing he did over the next 4 days was to prove out that he had the victory of light, that he conquered death, and he came back from the grave now as a spirit to serve all of mankind. And it said that all power was given unto him. All power was given unto him. And then when he was taken up in front of 100 people into the clouds, back to the throne of the Son, then as he's being taken up, he says, "Behold, I am with you always, even unto the end of time, even unto the end of the earth," to the end of time. So my question would be, what didn't he finish, or what didn't he accomplish when he said, "It is finished," meaning it is now complete, and he comes back from the dead, conquers death? What is it that he needs to come back for again in the flesh, when he taught us that the flesh was the enemy? And in fact, the flesh was something else that I'm going to reveal later on in the Great Lies of History. So stand by for that, okay? Because all of the concepts. Well, I don't like the cons, so I always try to go to the better word, which is the precepts. That's what we're talking about. All the precepts that we should be following have been destroyed. They've been altered. And so, my question is, okay, the things that you follow, are these things that have been handed to you by tradition, what we call dogma, or are these things that you have, had the revelation that, one day you saw it for the first time? Did you ever have a vision? Did you ever discover a truth? Because the problem is that we're being lied to. And so most of us from the beginning, we bought into the lie. And then finally one day we opened a book, we read something or we heard something, and then all of a sudden the light bulb started going off. And and mine was when I was one day, I was I was still in my late 20s, I think, around there, somewhere in my late 20s. And I suddenly, I don't remember what caused me to get the picture, but I'm thinking, I think that these controllers, these Zionists are controlling the Hebrew in our concordance, our Strong's concordance, are are probably, not telling the truth, and I got to prove it out. And and so one day I went into the Strongs, and well, in fact, that day I had the thought. I said, okay, let me open up the book, and I looked up the very primordial words, and one of the things that got me going is I looked at the words Adam and Eve, and I said, these are pretty small words. And typically within the ancient time, the words were big. Look at the words in India, and like Vimanika Shastra, or in German. They got like 30 letters in a word, 30 letters, and then we've got 3-letter words for Eve and Seth. Seth is 4, but so something got me going, and then when I looked up, lo and behold, I find the second half of Eve's name in the Strongs, but not the one that we know. Okay, the other half. So we only know half when we got Eve. We got half the picture, and then the same with Adam. The other half of his name was in the Strongs, and mind you, I took the letters of the Hebrew and transferred them into the modern. Okay, so I took the old Aleph would be the alpha, or the whatever letter you're dealing with. You just bring it to the modern, real simple. And so there, and so this will be a story for in a couple days. I'll put that on the agenda. Okay, it's a mind blower. In other words, we got to pull the curtain on everything, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to pull the curtain. So you tell me, is there anything that was left unfinished when Yeshua said, when he conquered the flesh, when he conquered persecution and torture without flinching as a supreme master, and he said, "It is finished. It is completed." Okay, so what? And people are saying he's coming back. Well, okay, I thought he came back. He rose from the dead. What better comeback can you ask for than to conquer death and come back with the flesh, but now incarnate? Because he was, taking it to another level, showing us our own incarnation. Obviously, we find life in Yeshua, and that incarnation now, before we mortally go to the grave, that's the great mystery. That when we receive the Spirit, then that's the life. That's the tree of life. Okay, the Spirit is the tree of life. The metaphors in the tree of life and tree of knowledge are more than one. Okay, it's not just this is the tree, this is the tree. No, it's like, again, the words, the original words, had multiple meanings, and so therefore you had to be looking at it. You had to be connecting it with an association within the storyline. There's so much going on. But okay, so I think you get the picture of how they've played a real trick on Christians, and are laughing all the way to the bank, those banksters, because they know the truth. They know the truth. They're just okay, just like that quote I read. Let me see if I can grab it. It's behind me. Hang on. If I can stretch far enough. It's a thick wick, ladies and gentlemen. They didn't start doing this stuff yesterday. They've been doing it for thousands of years. They started right out the gate abbreviating. In the beginning, it was the slaves were not allowed. Slaves were not allowed to read at all. Okay, and then one day, they said, we could have better slaves if we could let them learn a few words, and we could use slaves for a few other things, and that's a good idea. So but they said, okay, but if we're going to teach the slaves how to read, then we're not going to give them all the words. We're going to trick them, and we're going to give them part of the word and part of the symbol, and then they'll never really get the picture, because the pictures told a story, and the pictures don't lie. Okay, because that's what we're going to talk about when we get to the serpent. You think you heard it? Okay, you haven't heard anything yet. So, but this is what the Zionists, and you know who they are, that follow the Babylonian Talmud, and that did a work on the Book of J. I'll share one day, and in there, they're the Zionists, who are very arrogant in their introductions and forward in this work, and have no regard for Yahweh. Okay, even though they claim to be Jews, and they are doing a translation of an ancient writing, claiming it to be the most ancient, called the J text, which again there was no J back then. Okay, so that's how they trick us out, you know, with the word letter J. But in there, you can tell they hate Yahweh, which is an incorrect, you know, way of saying it. It's Yahweh. But so anyway, here's their quote. Here's their arrogant quote. No one in the West can now, remember, it came from the East. We follow an Eastern tradition. And they said, no one in the West can now hope to ever read the Bible without having been conditioned by it, or by the various misreadings, or what we should correctly say here, mistranslations. Let me put a note on that. By the various mistranslations, it has engendered. Oh, engendered. You know, that means like created. Okay. And, well, I don't know how old, no, J goes way back. It's a source. It's a source text. One of the primary source texts of what we call the five books of Moses, Lynn, and we put it in the and the five books of Moses. Oh, and they did it in Babylon. You know, this is when they after their library was burned down. So that would have been when it was imported into what they called the five books of Moses, because their library was burned. That was approximately 450 BC, and so J came from Judah. There was another text that came out of the 10 tribes, the northern tribes. You know, so yeah, it's a pretty convoluted wick, but they had to regroup once they were in Babylon because they lost all their culture and their temple and everything, you know. And so, and by the way, if you do have a question, you know, you're welcome to call in. I'm just doing an opening right now and getting, you know, getting a little bit of qualification of a few things here. Okay, so I guess I'm about ready for my book review. And also on Skype, you know, you can just text a question. I have difficulty on the chat. And good evening to Shadow Ninja as well. And you know, the chat on the Skype, you know, if it'll immediately let me know there's a question. So that's really the best place. I guess everybody's using their phone today, and so I don't, you know, I don't know. I guess most people don't have Skype on their phone. I know some people do. Okay, so so here we are. We're going to do a book review right out the gate, and I'm looking at my notes here. But before I can do this book review, I've actually got to qualify a certain word, and now I've lost my 3x5 card. Oh, here it is. Okay, it's on the book. Okay, pull it over here. So so we talked last night about the word God, and I showed its occult nature. It doesn't mean, you know, when you're talking to a friend you can't use the word God. You know, it's because everybody uses it, right? And so naturally we got to talk to them on the level that where they're at. If you start saying Elohim, and because I've got a friend who's you know, been following my work for years and still he uses God. He just refuses to go over, you know, and to call who we would call God, depending upon the aspect. You see, because there's two character types that we're dealing with. One is Yahweh, and the other one is the great Elohim. Elohim is more correct. I know the I am sound is more familiar with people, Elohim, but it's actually Elohim, but it's harder to get the picture. So I use the middle ground, the corrupt form, and Elohim. So so this is part of the reason why, you know, when we got our what we call our New Testament, they had to get away from the Aramaic, okay, / Hebrew, because they didn't speak Hebrew. You know, only the priesthood and the wealthy spoke Hebrew, so it was an exclusive dialect, and all the people spoke the common Aramaic. Okay, and good to have you, Martha. She's up there in Ontario, and where all my family came out of, Canada. So so what they did is they said, you know, they're going to really get the picture they're really going to get the picture unless we change the language, the diction, the cultural diction of the of the text. And so they had to destroy all the original Aramaic of the New Testament, and then to bring it all into the Greek. And that way we would not be able to follow a direct route or a direct path back to the Old Covenant. They cut us off. That was the trick, you see. Because, in other words, when they use God in the New Testament, well, then the God that, the way it's being said in the Old is not necessarily the same. And the same with Lord. When we think of Lord in the Old Covenant, then it's speaking of Yahweh, or mispronounced as Yahweh. Okay? But yet Lord is also Baal in the Old Covenant. You see? And so there was the king, what was it, King Ahab, I believe, and he said he was speaking to the priest of Baal, and he says, so, but in the King James, it says, so what do the priests of the Lord say? Right? And then after they gave him an answer that he should do or don't do this, then he says, but is there also a prophet of the Lord here? And what he was really saying was of Yahweh, right? But yet in the King James, they use one word for two different character types. They use Lord, Lord, when it should have been Baal and Yahweh. And that's how they played the tricks on us, ladies and gentlemen. You see, I don't want somebody taking my words, do you? And causing me to not know what it really is saying, So this is really profound. So, and it's oh boy, what do I want to say here? They really, for lack of, to use an axiom, they really screwed everything up, didn't they? They put the wrench to it, right? They worked overtime. You see, how the so-called Jews pride themselves on being accurate with every letter and every T and every I is dotted, and they count the letters up, and right, and they're so perfect in their work, right? And then all of our translations, all of our writings, they were the ones who were controlling it and who were manipulating it, right? Who gave us the Masoretic text, the Metzorites, which is the original word for Egypt, Egyptians, up there in Swaziland, right? Which is also known as the remnant of the pharaonic line now live. Okay, this is what this one guy was proving out on his documentary. The pharaonic line ended up in Swaziland. Okay, and there's where we got the Masoretes, and they call themselves Balesuts, and Baal. There's Baal right there, and Baal means master. And all of these Zionists call themselves Baal Shem or Baal this, and it means master. So, and these are those who are claiming to be Israel, okay? And they're calling themselves Baal. You get the picture? Baal, okay? You know who they are, right? So it's just amazing. So where we're going to start is in the Old Covenant, and we're going to deal with the terminology Lord God. Now, when I mentioned the book of J, it's the wrong letter, okay? Because the J didn't exist 100 the J came about 300 years ago, give or take, right? Because remember in the King James originally it was an I for Jesus, Isus. And then at one point the J comes along. So it came along within the last approximately 250 years. I'm not too sure. But I'd have to research that. I may have known it at one time and forgot. I don't know. So in the J text, which is the Yahwistic, that's the right terminology, the Yahwistic text, that was the one that had the sacred name, Yahweh. Okay? And then, so when we have Lord God, the hyphenated together, then it's God is then great Elohim. And who is the great Elohim? Great Elohim is Yeshua. Okay? The one who made all things. The one who represents the Father. When you see me, you see the Father. Right? Because Father is spirit. And so he and the Father are one. And so literally Yeshua is the first atom, A-T-O-M, the first made of all things that are made. Okay? And so So when you read the conjunction of Lord God, then what it would really be transliterated as would be Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. Okay? Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. And so now I'm going to give you a prime in the book review, because I had to do the words first, because now I'm taking to a book called I Am Yahweh, Yahweh, and I'm going to give myself a little more light here, so stand by. I got to take off my headset. Okay, and so and I had this book like 35 years ago, and I had to get another one after regrouping over here, and it came out of Germany and translated into English. And so I Am Yahweh, and it's by and I got this one off of Amazon. You could probably find a used copy, and it's Zimmer by Zimmerli, Zimmerli, and the book is John Knox Press. John Knox Press. Okay, if you want to get a copy. And it's a small book. It's 160 pages and about a 5 by 6 or something like that, 5 by 6 in size. So I just before the program I went through to find a couple highlights to try to get you the picture. And so let me read, and then I can elaborate further perhaps. So let me just take a sip of my drink here, and I want to welcome all of our new listeners as well to the program. Okay, so, and I'm coming right in the middle of a paragraph. I'll back up one more sentence. Everything is at stake in the announcement of the name. Yeah, okay, there you go. I gotta underline that in red. Everything is at stake. Okay, get the picture. Everything's at stake. What a profound statement. And they took these words away from us, right? Everything's at stake, and then we find it's all gone, and there is no stake. Okay. Everything is at stake in the announcement of the name, and which should be really name in Black's Law Fourth Law Dictionary means a corporation, and that which is at the bottom. Okay, it's the lowest. So we really don't want a name. We want a royal title. Okay, royal title. So I'm going to correct that. Everything is at stake in the announcement of the royal title. Title is at the top. There's the word tit in title, tittle. You see, and that's the point, right? The top, tip. Okay, and so see how they reversed it again. I'm going to keep showing you reversals in this program. Everything is reversed. I got another good one, okay, with the man and woman, and I'll try to relate that to you later on. For everything is at stake in the announcement of the royal title, in its being heard and honored properly. Oh, that reminds me of a great maxim by Maximus. Okay, he said, and Maximus, you remember the movie Gladiator, right? And so Maximus was that Caesar who was the scholar, right? He was really cool, and he was a good guy. In other words, he wasn't a tyrant, although they were killing a lot of Germans. So they never stopped fighting war. But yet Maximus was a philosopher, and so he wrote a quote. I've got it in my etymological dictionary, the Real Da Vinci Code, and he says that in the future, man is going to have to be bilingual. Whoa, bilingual, yeah. But get this, ladies and gentlemen, he wasn't right. Actually, we now have to be trilingual, okay? Because if you go to a courtroom, you need to know the legal diction. And if you're living in the world with all the people out there, you need to know the common diction. And then if you want to talk about saving your soul, then you need to know what you've never heard in the original thought, okay? The diction that they took from you, which is your original Indo-Germanic Aramaic mother tongue, your mother, okay? That's what they stole from us. And they made us bastards. Forgive the French, okay? But that's what they did. So Continuing here, okay? So I'm going to start one more time. Everything is at stake in the announcement of the royal title. In its being heard and honored properly. Heard and being honored. Oh, geez. See how just these little statements are so powerful. You know, we're supposed to honor Yahweh. Yahweh. And you know where, can you hear the Aryan in that, the Indo-Germanic, can you hear it? Yahweh. Isn't that what they say in Germany when it's an affirmative in in Deutschland? They say Yahweh, right? And there it is. They preserved it from the beginning of time. It's still there as the affirmative Yahweh. But it's the guy at the end, it's got the breath. The he. The he at the end is the breath that gives life. Yahweh. You see? I was amazed when I took note of that, you know, after working with these words for so many decades and seeing that it all come full circle like that, right in our face. So for where the royal title is not announced or not heard, where Yahweh is not presented, the chance for distortion and faithlessness is enormous. I suggest that Genesis 2 through 3 is indicative of what happens when the royal title is not disclosed. In Genesis 2, 4b through 24 and 3:18, the royal title of Yahweh is regularly invoked. Now, they didn't invoke it in the northern kingdom. They were doing it in the tribe of Judah. Okay? But the northern kingdom moved totally away, went after Baal, and they wanted nothing to do with Yahweh. Remember, Yahweh is the corruption. Yahweh is the intermediary, but the most correct form is Yahweh. Now, here's the word vol for like volcanism, which, you know, has to do with the blood of the earth, right? You hear me use that term, blood of the earth. And you know, I never knew until I was reading Herodotus, the great historian, that in Mitzrayim, they gave a new label called Egypt. The temples that were there were dedicated to Vulcan. They were the temples of Vulcan. So they're the prime root of vol. What does vol mean? It means volumes, right? That's why they call it the volcano, because the volumes come out like we see right now in the Big Island, Hawaii. Endless volumes, right? So, we've got to define the root forms of these words. If we don't define the root, we can never get back to Kansas, ladies and gentlemen. Never. Okay? So let me continue here. So the royal title of Yahweh is regularly invoked in those particular areas. That's when you notice one chapter will have Lord God, then the other chapter just simply has God, which then would refer to Elohim. Elohim. Okay? So not for nothing is the narrative termed J. Okay? Now he's referring to the J text, although it should be the Yahwistic text. Yahweh's royal title is known and used and honored, but in the speech of the serpent, wow, the serpent speaks. That we're going to talk about that later on. The primary linguistic characteristics is that the great Elohim's royal title is either forgotten, denied, or censored. Woo! Guys, on page with me. 4 times the serpent speaks about, and we got to ask that question again. Who is that serpent? What is that serpent? Okay. And how come the name serpent, when you go into Strong's, you don't find the word serpent, but you find another word, and I'm going to reveal it. Blew my mind. Just like Adam and Eve, okay? I told you about that. You see, they never counted on anybody to be a glutton for punishment that would go and research all this stuff and pull it all together. You know, but Yeshua is the revealer, okay? I was just the agent, but he was the revealer, and he revealed. And so it's really, I can't get over, you know, I was a high school dropout, you know, 10th grade. I knew they weren't teaching me anything. I knew they didn't care about me. I wasn't learning anything, just smoking pot and taking psychedelics and saying, man, this ain't anywhere. I'm getting out of here, okay? And so I was smart enough to drop out of school because it was a loser. And then I got on with my enlightenment, not education. Education is what they removed from you. like the editor. You got to take that out. You can't write that. Take it out. The editor removes it. Education, it's what they didn't tell you that you wanted to know. But you get right here. Don't forget it. 4 times the serpent speaks about the great Elohim, but always in a generic sense and without reference to the royal title of Yahweh. The rest is alienation and fear. Okay, so now I'm moving forward in the book to page 20, and so here it says, so since Israel, or Israel's faith recognizes no other comparable deity that might be considered his partner in the divine world, Yahweh's self-indoctrination thus raises this element to its highest power and gives it a hard polemical edge. Quote, I am Yahweh. That is my royal title. My radiant light I give to no other, nor my praise to graven images. That's in 42:8, Revised Standard Version. I am Yahweh, quoting, and there is no other besides me. There is no other deity. That's 45:5. And I'm trying to figure out what book that's in. I'm guessing it could be Isaiah. Okay, continuing. This also includes the omnipotent embracing of time and that ruptures the synadical framework of the formula of self-introduction. I am Yahweh. I am the first and with the last. I am, and then I didn't transliterate this Hebrew right here, so I'm going to leave that. I've got to do one thing. Just give me one moment. Be right back. Okay, thank you. So, continuing on here. Okay, so now I'm going down. For I am Yahweh, your great Elohim, who holds your right hand, who says to you, fear not, I have helped you, for I am Yahweh, your great Elohim, the only true anointed, pure, great breath of the one of Israel, your Shavor. There's that word, Shavor, Savior. Okay? And continuing on to the next page, jumping over where I highlighted. Thus, Yahweh's entire predication, his entire predication in his self-statements is directly, decisively towards the Creator's activity, that's Elohim again, that begins in the present and comes to completion in the future. Even the creation statement must occasionally bear a future-oriented characterization. Thus, all the words of consolation to the exiled Israel are sounded in Yahweh's extended I statements. I am Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. He strengthens, helps, grasps by hand both Israel, and its appointed liberator, in this instance Cyrus, who was also mentioned in our scriptures. Cyrus, the Persian king, who allowed Israel to go back to Jerusalem by the hand. He answers supplications, removes the closing of the blindness of the eyes, destroys the signs of the soothsayers, and fulfills his word. I love that one. Destroys the signs, and we could say symbols, of the soothsayers, like Kabbalism, like Freemasonry, okay, Catholicism, and fulfills his burning shavor, his sword, his word. And is there one more? I thought there might be one more. Yeah, okay. And so that there's always an event. What we find is that is always an event that is going on, and so what he's typically saying, if you remember, like during the Exodus and all that, he's saying, I am doing this so that talking about Pharaoh, he will know the great Yahweh, or the same with the tribes of Israel. And you will know that I am Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, you see. Okay? And so we have to remember that Yahweh is spirit, and he's represented by the great Elohim, who is Yeshua. And that's when we hear, like it said in the very beginning, right? It said that he was walking through the garden. He was walking through the garden and looking for Adam and Eve. I'm not going to give you their original titles till we do the program in a couple days. But he's looking for them. Hey, Adam, Eve, where are you? See, he's walking in the morning sunlight, in the sunrise. Very appropriate, because he comes with the sun, just like when he rose from the dead, right? He comes with the sun and the light. And so the statement of awareness, I am Yahweh, who is also the great Elohim, is literally the same as when Yeshua was here on earth and he said, I and the Father are one, right? Same principle. Okay, that's all that's going on. And so Yahweh in his attempt is attempting to reveal himself to us. And he does it by the dramatic work, the dramatic work. And don't we have a record of it? I don't know if you want to see a good documentary, okay, about the Exodus, the real what really happened. Then get I think it's on YouTube. You might be able to get it, but Exodus Decoded, okay, Exodus Decoded, and you'll find out there is a logical and a natural explanation, ladies and gentlemen, to what happened in the great event of the Exodus. Okay, it wasn't everything was supernatural in the association of it. The timing, was supernatural, and the events themselves were super, right? Super. They were, but there was a reason that was natural in what was taking place in the event, but there was all of these situations that made for the great dramatic event. You see, Yeshua was using, the great Elohim was using nature to his advantage, and the timing was everything. And so you've got to see this, and I'd certainly love to hear your what you think about it. So I'm continuing now. We're going now. Okay, so I gave you the elements of the old covenant and how they played the tricks on us, and I just gave back to you the original meanings. I hope you wrote them down, because you can transliterate while you read. You got it now. You see, you didn't get it from any bullpit, and you didn't get it from any dictionary. Oh yeah, Simka Yakovich. That's right, Lynn. Very good. Thank you. They even show the Ark of the Covenant in a gold medallion in the museum in Greece, and they don't even know they got the Ark there. So yeah. Okay. So we're going to now go into the New Testament, which is really the everlasting covenant. There's nothing new, because what we call the kingdom of heaven has always been here. It's just that man could not flow into it because he wasn't ready. There had to be this process that went on through time and through the operation of Israel. Okay. So now we're dealing with first we'll deal with the word God again, and in what we call the New Testament. I'll use that terminology: New Testament, New Covenant. And so, thanks to the Jerusalem Bible, in there they use the Yahwistic terminology, and I've got to go back and review it. I do when I do my transliteration. I open it up with all my other important translations and compare them all. Okay, I do, because every different one of these translators may have stumbled on the important meaning of a word. So I compare about 25 total translations that are the most superior. Okay, I rely on my experts. Okay, and so God either means, again, depending upon the text, the textual content, it's either Yahweh or it is the great Elohim. And so even the Greek text and the Aramaic, because they've all been adulterated. Okay, when I do a book review on the Syriac Peshito, not the Peshitta that I talked about yesterday, but the Peshito, then you know you'll learn about how they stole the Aramaic that's on your driver's license from the Eastern people. They literally stole the alphabet, not just destroyed all the original copies of the Diatessaron. Okay, and by the way, one more time, so I gave you, based on the Old Covenant that we just talked about, the book I Am Yahweh. So that's the book review for today. I Am Yahweh, Yahweh, not spelled correctly, but that's okay. I Am Yahweh by Zimmerli. Okay, so highly recommend it. Very deep intellectual read. Okay, you can read it when you're ready to go to bed because it'll put you to sleep. But the guy's a genius, absolute genius. I mean, he just keeps repeating over and over the entire scenario, going through all the scriptures, how it's being used. It's absolute paramount in getting the picture. Okay, so God is pretty basic. We got that. It's one of two potential enemy entities within the new covenant, because it's now different. Remember, I said they moved away from the Aramaic and the Hebrew, and they went into the Greek. So they did a switch out, and that disrupts the whole trail back, straight back. So we're not using Aramaic words now. So there's just simply not a word in the Greek for some of the words in the Aramaic, and so a lot was lost in this a tragic event. Okay, but now so we're going to talk about the word Lord in the New Testament. The word Lord. And by the way, I haven't forgot, I'm doing Bible. Okay, I know somebody wanted me to do Bible, and that will come up after the Great Lies of History. That's where I normally was going to do the words, but I had to do these words for the book. I Am Yahweh, because I knew that I couldn't talk about the book without qualifying these particular words, and so I brought it forward to the front of the program. And so, okay, so I'm just gathering my thoughts here. Hang on. Okay, so the word Lord now. Okay, now I've looked up the etymology of the English, all right? And so Lord literally means our mother who gives us our bread, or the woman that gives us our bread, okay? So that's Lord. That's literally what it means when you go back into the Old English or the Middle English, okay? And then it goes into some of the mythology that deals with India, you hear me talking about, and connected with the word Adonai. Okay? Okay, yeah, Linda wanted the Bible, right? So Adonai. Okay? And which backwards, the anagram is India. Okay? So anyway, so is Yeshua really the Lord? In other words, we know it's English, and so therefore we know they didn't speak English. And so let's get the picture. We have a guy, Yeshua, who is walking everywhere, and whenever he finds somebody that is sick, he doesn't almost heal them. He heals them 100%. Whether they're blind, leper, dead, sick, whatever. He healed them 100%. No problema, right? No problem. So if people heard about him and they go running up to him, would they have said Lord, in the sense of, this, like you bow, you know what I'm saying? Just got on board. Oh, okay, good to have you, Mona Lisa. And so what would have happened? Get the picture. The people hear, hey, we got a guy who's a healer. And the way they would have said it was Naga healer, and that leads into the Great Lies of History coming up next. Okay, because that word Naga, you're going to learn about it. And so they would have said literally, we've got a Naga healer, a pure breather of light. That's another expression that would have come out of that. And so in the simple terms, what would have they done if they ran up to him and fell at his feet? they would have run over to him and they would have said, "Healer, heal me," right? He's a healer. In the Greek, it says Kyriai. Well, what part of a cure don't we get that it's a healing? Kyriai, the cure in your eye. You see the cure. Okay, but they changed the meaning of these words. That's their trick. But the words don't lie. And so he was the Naga healer, or we could call it, based on the term Naga, we could drop Naga and say that he was the healer and pure breather of light. That's the one I prefer, because it's more comprehensible by people in general, because Naga, they get lost on a foreign term. So we transliterate Naga into breather of light, because Naga is the serpent, and the primary symbol of the serpent is the sun, and the sun and light is symbolic of healing, and so he is the Naga healer, meaning the light healer. But so we just transliterate that a little differently, and he is the healer and pure breather of light. He breathes when he speaks, and he breathes the light, and he has the power of the sun, because no matter what he touches, it gets healed, no problem. You see? And so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Lord, okay? Lord in the New Testament, in that sense, is Yeshua, but he is the healer. It's not Lord, it's healer. So when you read, you can transliterate that, and you'll realize that's the natural way it would have been. Okay, it's a natural. So this is what we call. Okay, here's another word. I know we've been doing this. This is my fourth night, I think, now. Okay, what do we call this? We call it Babylon. This is what they did to us, right? They mixed everything up, and it's Babylon, and that's what they got everybody doing, babbling, right? But they don't know what they're saying, and if one doesn't know the meaning of a word, then they can't possibly know what they're saying. They think they know, but they don't know. Okay. So now, having done that term Naga. Oh, okay. Before I go into the Great Lines history, I want to just give you one more slice of a lie. Okay, I'll do it. It's an opener. It's a preliminary, and it's out of the Dead Sea Scrolls Bible. Okay, now I read the Dead Sea Scrolls, 30 years ago, and let me get a sip of my drink here. Hang on. And I read them more than once, and I saw the tricks and the trade and the trap and all the little things they were doing. They once you get tipped off to them, then it's real hard for them to hide. And it's just a matter of, you got to know you're being lied to. Once you know you're being lied to, you got to prove everything out, right? Prove it out, and rightly divide and the word of truth. Beautiful sunset out here in Central Ohio right now. So beautiful colors in the sky. Got a big house in my way, so I can't see the whole view over the mountain, but I know a lot of you are getting great pictures, and I appreciate it. I enjoy getting your view from your perspective. Okay, so what the Dead Sea Scrolls Bible is, okay, is whatever texts they found that were strictly, what we call our Bible, Old Testament, whether it's books of Isaiah or Genesis, Bereshith, Exodus. They took all those texts and they put it together as if it were the Old Testament, or the Tanakh as they call it. And so there's a lot of text missing, because it's whatever was found in Qumran, in the Dead Sea. And so I this was like 20 years ago when I discovered this, and I've got the page tagged here for for sharing with you all, and to show you how much, again, these Zionists hate not only Yahweh or Yahweh, but of course they hate Yeshua. Hate him, because they're the mother's sons of darkness. That's what Masonic means, mother's son of darkness. They're mother's sons of darkness, while they claim to be giving the light to their brothers, right? What a contradiction of thought, So you can catch their little game, but it takes a little bit of effort and labor, but Yeshua is the one who reveals, So like I say, I'm not smart enough to figure all this stuff out, but Yeshua has been very good to me in revealing to me on the trail. That's what he's been doing with me. And so I'm in the the Dead Sea Scrolls Bible, and you know, they really did a hatchet job on this thing. So I've got to find out what book this is in. I've got, okay, it's Obadiah. I guess it's Obadiah. Okay, and no, hang on. No, it's in Micah. Okay, it's in Micah, and it's chapter 5. And now get this. Okay, listen real close, ladies and gentlemen. Chapter 5. Now, muster yourselves in troops, O daughters of troops. He has laid a siege against us. They will strike the judge of Israel on the cheek with the rod. But you, O Bethlehem of Ephrathah, too little to be among the thousands of Judah, out of you shall not come forth one to be the ruler in Israel, and whose goings forth are from old, from everlasting. So you see, they just put a curse in there. They just changed our scriptures from but you, O Bethlehem of Ephrathah, too little, the littlest of those among the thousands of Judah, and out of you shall come forth the one to be the ruler in Israel. They put in here, shall not come forth. You get it? The occult, the wicked occult, threw in the word not by their prejudice, but our hatred of the sovereign of the universe, the one who made all things. So I just want to take this beautiful, elegant, thick book of the Dead Sea Scroll Bible and throw it in the trash, you know. But I realize it's just too important to show the trick and the trade and the trap that they're giving us, and they expose themselves. It's beautiful. They can't hide because of their own arrogance. Just like I read you that quote out of the book of Jay, right, where they're laughing at it, saying, you know, that we're all bought into the mistranslations, and they know it, and they're laughing all the way to the bank while they take advantage of all Christians, you know, and sell them their homes, and then give them a unilateral contract, and they say, well, you know, we decided to take the house from you. We are, you know, kicking you out in 30 days, and you know, that's what you know, that's the trick and the trap of the other trade they make, right? Okay, so let's go into the big one now. Okay, the great lies of history. Hope you're enjoying the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, and hope you're telling your friends as well. You know, everything gets recorded, and so people can listen at their convenience, right? And don't forget, if you have a comment or a question, 608-566-7295, 608-566-7295, or you can call in on Skype, and that is Free America Radio, all one word, Free America Radio. And I'm your host, Desert Owl, a bird who sees in the night. And you know, I've been looking for that blue pill because you know I just want to forget. You know, it's like I want to have go and see if I can have a regular life and for you know but I can't. You know, I'm here. I wanted to know, and so I asked, and I received, and now I got to deal with it. And it's certainly better to know than to not know. I feel so sorry for those couch potatoes, you know, that sit on the couch every night, just you know, watching television and getting the stare in their eyes, you know, just glazed over, and watching the flickering of the television. You caught the end. I'm sorry, Mona Lisa, I didn't get that. The end last night, you mean, or we're just getting on a roll here. But anyway, she's one of our sky watchers out there. And so, okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about, I got to tell a story, you know. I want to get into this. This one is really as profound in a different way, because we're going to talk about who, what, where, when, why, how is the serpent. What's going on? I didn't know snakes could talk. Did you know snakes could talk? I didn't know that. If they do, I actually don't think snakes can talk. I think snakes are snakes, and they stick out their forked tongue, but they're just a symbol of something else. Are we reading Dick and Jane, or are we in the university? Where are we? We got to get in the university, ladies and gentlemen, because Dick and Jane isn't going to cut it, you know. C-spot run. So I'm going to try to see how I want to roll into it. So I got to talk about Adam and Eve, because This is how the story begins. Now, I'm chomping at the bit to get all my data off my other computer so I can do a transliteration of the first couple chapters of Genesis now, because I've got the most profound corrections in our scriptures, our sacred scriptures that have been adulterated, sliced and diced, and fried and fricasseed, and we need to get back to the original thought, and it's not hard to get the picture. You know, it was just a few years ago. Some of my amazing revelations and discoveries just came over the last several years after over 4 decades, almost 5 decades now of study. But a lot of the really profound, things came late. I saw everything the way everybody else does in the beginning. And then all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute, you mean this isn't true? What? Come on. Oh no, don't tell me. Oh geez, And so it's a constant revelation. It's like, there's no end to it. There's an old sage who once said, no matter how big your horizon gets, no matter how big your horizon gets, you will always find yourself at the beginning. Always. Always at the beginning. And good to have Annie 0100. Thank you for your excellent information. Well, Annie, good to have you. I don't think I've seen you before. So welcome, and hope you enjoyed the ride. We're here every night trying to tell it like it is for a short time that we have left. We've got to make the most of it. So I'm spilling the beans, okay? That's what the Heavenly Father prepared me for here. And so we got to go from the Dick and Jane child's tale about, Eve took a fruit, and they even say apple, but there's, never said apple in there, but she took a fruit off the tree. And so we got to look at it. We got to look at it. And okay, I got my opener here, okay? So I'm going to ask you a question. The temptation that Eve experienced, would we say that it would have been the same temptation that Yeshua, Jesus, experienced within his 40 days in the wilderness? Okay, so we've got Eve in the garden, and it says she was tempted by a serpent. But then when we read our New Testament, we find Yeshua goes into a desert, a barren wilderness, in contrast to a garden. And in there, it says he was tempted by Satan. And so, again, the whole thing where not only did they change the language from Aramaic to Greek in the New Testament, a total switch out, but then we've even got a character change. Wait a minute. Okay, if Eve is being tempted by a serpent, then how come Yeshua is not being tempted by a serpent? And yet, then it says he was tempted by a Satan, right? So you see the problem we're dealing with here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, if I'm tempted, if you're tempted, wouldn't we all be tempted by the same thing? Well, if we go into the book of James, it says that when we are tempted and drawn away by our own lust and then enticed. So it didn't say the devil made me do it. It didn't even say the serpent made me do it. Unless we got a misimpression of what the serpent is, and a misimpression of what the Satan is. And that's where we're going, okay? Because we got to get it down to brass tacks. And I did this particular presentation on my YouTube channel. The top row is the Uncommon Awareness, where Dr. Lorraine Hurley interviewed me. And towards the end, right around video, audio 8, 7 or 8 or 9, one of those, I defined, the words, because, like I said on there, people, the way when you listen to people talk, they actually think that devil, Satan, demon, Lucifer, Beelzebub, that all of these are the same thing, right? They make no distinction by the word. All they know is, man, these sound like bad guys, and so these bad guys, are, causing problems for us. And, and that's what man wants you to think. That's what the priesthood wants you to think, because it's the priesthood that created it. It's the priesthood that's got you bowing down to them. Oh, Father, help me, Father. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. Here's all my sins. You want to know everything I've done this week, Father? Oh man, it's a lot. You're not going to tell anybody, Father, if I tell you, are you? You know what I mean? In the pew. Imagine that. Imagine having a confessional, and all the people in the community, especially in a small town, they all come to you and confess their sins. Man, if that ain't a power trip, huh? I mean, like maybe that guy'd know who to go, you know, do something to, or blackmail, or have a party with. You know what I mean? Anything could happen when the priest knows everybody in town and all their confessions. That's exactly what they did in the killing fields in Cambodia. They got everybody to confess. A Jesuit-run operation. They got everybody to confess. Come on, we know you did it. We know you were guilty. You wanted to go against the party, the Khmer Rouge. So just confess and then we'll let you go home, okay? And once they finally got him to confess, they had to get him to confess. And once they broke him down mentally, wore him down, mind control, then they said, okay, well, now you're going home, brother. Okay, you're going home. And we're going to put a bag over your head because we don't want you to see where we're taking you. And then they got him to kneel on the ground, said, bend over, you're almost home. And then they took a machete and cut off their head. Always after they got the confession, So I don't know where I was going with all that. Just the insanity of the priest, yeah. How it's a Jesuit-run world, okay? It is, and it's the secret societies. They're the head of the Kabbalistic Freemasonry, and it works its way down to a bunch of idiots at the bottom that are just happy to have a little power trip and a gun and a joint and a party, So, ladies and gentlemen, let me get back to the story now, because I'm trying to get you to picture, to see that it's man. Man is the problem because it is the flesh. I'm going to give you another picture now, because I got to really build up on this, because I'm going to blow you out of the water, because I don't think you've heard this anywhere, because never heard anybody else talking about it. But this is the story. So, okay, so if we go into the wilderness, and it said the people were being stung by scorpions and bit by snakes. And so Moses is told, okay, Moshe, go get a cross and nail a serpent up on the cross, nail a snake up on the cross, and go through the camp. And if anybody can see the serpent, they can be healed. Okay? So that's what I want you to see tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And so who was that serpent? Who was on the cross? If the serpent was on the cross in the wilderness, and if they saw the serpent, they could be healed. Well, what was the serpent on the cross 1,500 years later? Right? 2,000 years ago. Wasn't it Yeshua on the cross who became the healer? Are you getting the picture? That we've been lied to about a lot of things, and it's based on a symbol. Proper interpretation of the symbol. If you don't know the meaning of the symbol, well, you think that they literally picked a fruit off the tree, right? You think that Eve just went and grabbed. In other words, okay, now we'll define the fruit. Because, well, what they told, you can eat from any of the trees of the garden. You can eat the fruit from any of the trees of the garden. But there's one tree that you can't eat of. Now, does that seem right? Does that seem logical? Okay, you mean I can eat the fruit from all of the trees, but this one tree I can't eat the fruit of? Does that sound right? So now let's move forward into the New Testament. How is a tree known? Come on, somebody put it in the. How is a tree known? You know the scriptures in the New Testament. How is a tree known? A tree is known by its 30-second delay on the 30-second delay on the chat. Come on, a tree is known by its what? I know somebody's got it. Lynn, you got it. Come on. I found out you pretty well know the scriptures. A tree is known by. All right. Nobody will. Everybody's holding back, because. All right. A tree is known by its fruit, right, ladies and gentlemen? A tree is known by its fruit. Oh, okay. So then you mean, yeah, thank you very much. So therefore the fruit of the tree, because you're the tree, you have a family tree, you stand upright on the earth just like a tree. Even the blind man, when he was being healed, I see men walking around look like trees. Right? Wonder why he said that. And so the fruit is what you do. What your fruit is what you do. You could have rotten fruit, or you could have perfect fruit. Okay? So now let's go back to the old covenant. So you mean I can eat the fruit of all of the trees in the garden, but there's one tree that I can't. So in other words, I can do anything I want to do. That's what it means. I can do anything because the fruit is what you do. I can do anything I want to do, but there's one thing I can't do? Oh my. Really? Okay. Okay, but why did you tell me about it? I mean, wouldn't it be better if you didn't tell me the cookie jar is over there and I don't want to, I'm going to want to look in the cookie jar now, right? So I got to back up now. I've got to go to the very beginning of the story because, like I was saying earlier, some of the greatest discoveries came just in the last few years. I can't get over it. So anyway, when we read our scriptures correctly, okay, I'm going to give you an example. Let me go get Fenton's Bible real quick. It's just on the side. I got to put my headset down. Hang on. I'm going to show you how easy it is to have a mistranslation, okay? Right out the gate. And Fenton, is so perfect, but yet even Fenton didn't get it. He was close. In fact, I want to, because I got so many underlines here, I think I want to go to my, where's my King James? Hang on. Okay, so in the beginning, God, the great Elohim created the heaven and the earth. That'd be the cosmos and the earth. And here it says, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Okay, and I'm going to show you how almost is not close enough because it's not the correct picture. What it really was saying here is, in the beginning, the great Elohim created the cosmos and the earth in the beginning. But then what it should say is, but the earth, not that, and the earth was without form. It should say, and the earth was not yet formed. Was not yet formed. Okay? And within the void, not and void, but within the void, the great void. Okay? And darkness was upon the face of the deep. The deep was the cosmos. It was black as night. There was nothing there. And then what does it say? And the spirit of Elohim moved upon the face. Well, it should say Yahweh here. Okay, I know that. And the spirit of Yahweh moved upon the face of the waters. Well, it's not the ocean. I grew up reading this and thinking the wind, the spirit was moving across the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean. It's not. It's the breath of Yahweh was moving upon the cosmic sea. Okay? And then what does it say? So it moved upon the face of the waters, which is the cosmic sea. And then it says in the verse 3, and Yahweh said, let there be light. And so his breath breathed into the gaseous orb of our star, of our sun, our mother star, and breathed into it, and the sun was ignited. Boom, let there be light. Okay? And so we know that the light came first, and the sun came first because it is a solar system, and then the earth and the moon and Venus and Mercury and Mars all came out. The planets came out of the sun. They're children of the sun. I actually can show you a YouTube that shows the sun birthing a planet with 150,000 mile umbilical cord. It's still attached to the orb, and then it disconnects and floats off. The sun is giving birth to tiny little orbs. It's what it does. It is the mother star, okay? So I just showed you how a translation was close, but it didn't allow us to get the picture. The sun came first. The Son came first, and Lynn, I think you say you love that, huh? Okay. So there you go. There's a perfect example, ladies and gentlemen. It's taken, practically a lifetime to be able to, you know, explain this stuff. And what I've been seeing, I didn't, wasn't like I wanted to tell somebody else. It was like I'm trying to prove this stuff for myself. Okay. My daughter was my big inspiration when I had a daughter. I was about 30 years old. And I wanted to give her the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. No, milk toast, no half truth, no BS. I wanted to give her the pure truth. After I brought, in other words, when I had a daughter, it was bittersweet. It was like, wait a minute, I just brought somebody into this world. What am I doing? It's like, what's going to happen to her? Is she going to suffer? Is she going to, And so after I thought about it, I said, boy, now I'm going to have to, go grab the truth because I want her to live forever. I want her to know the absolute truth, and that's why I said we have to be born again. Because when we had our babies, we didn't give them life. What we did, we gave them death, right? That's why it says we have to be born again, because we're dead in the world, and we've got to do it again, Sam, and we got to come up a new life, and with the vision and the ability to read, because it says where there is no knowledge, people perish for a lack of knowledge, and where there is no vision to read the symbol, you can't have life. Okay, and so let's we're getting close. So Adam. So once we get into the story and you read it, even though it's not done perfectly, just like I showed you with the very first 3 verses of Genesis, that it's close, but close is not good enough. Once I tell you the story, and you go read your King James or whatever translation you have, now, once you know the story, you'll be able to see it better. You'll see, okay, there it is. I can see it's not worded correctly, okay? So what it says, basically, I know the story now. I saw it, okay, in the corrupted versions. And because I was blown away when just a couple of years ago, when I was reading my scripture, about 3 years ago, and all of a sudden I saw that it said that he took Adam out of the Garden of Eden and he placed him into the garden. And I said, wait a minute, what? Wait a minute. He took him out of the Garden of Eden, out of paradise, and he placed him into the garden. And I said, wait a minute, so there's 2 gardens. Whoa, 2 gardens? And it was like, what a revelation. How did I miss this all these years? And it's because I'm paying more attention to detail now, And so what it says in our scriptures is that once the earth was formed, that's when Elohim took the fiery magma. It said that a fountain gushed forth in Philo. In our King James it says, and then a mist occurred, but it was a volcano, okay? And out of it came the fiery magma. And the fiery magma flowed into the water. And then according to the ancient story, the Elohim took the fiery magma because they saw the image in the water, the cosmic sea, which was Yeshua, the perfect man. And Elohim, which is the blind goddess, okay? I can't explain all of these, elements here because it's too much. Little by little, you'll get the picture of what I'm saying. They took the blood of the earth and placed it onto the ground. The fiery magma cooled in the water, and they placed it on the ground. They formed the man, but the Elohim did not have power to breathe life into the Adam. Okay, remember it says dirt, that we were made from red dirt, but it wasn't red dirt. You're not made from dirt, ladies and gentlemen. You're made from the heart of the mother, from the breast of the mother, from the fiery, purified salts and minerals from the heart of the earth that came out. You're made from the fires of life. But yet Elohim did not have the ability to breathe into Adam, the breath of life. And so Adam laid there for 3 days and 3 nights. A profound symbol, right, of what was to come in the future, the 3 days and 3 nights. And then in the great mystery, Yahweh comes down like he breathed into a star, and the star ignited, and the great breath moved upon the cosmic waters. Then the great breath came down and breathed into the nostrils of Adam, the gnosis, knowledge, so that he became a living, breathing entity, and he immediately knew how to communicate. Breathed into him was the gnosis. He was pre-programmed to know. Okay? And I don't know if Mona Lisa's guessing that Eden is the sun, but if you are, you got it right, okay? Because that's where everything came from, the light. And so what it said was then that Yahweh took Adam and placed him into the Garden of Eden, and that would be the throne of the sun. Because it says that he was first made before anything else was made on earth. Can you picture? It was barren, okay? And yes, Adam is Adam, right? And and it says that while Yeshua made all things over those millions of years, the process of time, as we talked about yesterday, it wasn't 6 magical 24-hour days, but it was 6 great periods, 6 billion years, because nature even tells us, all the geology tells us, no question about it. So while Yeshua is making everything on earth, all of the sea life, all of the animals, all the creatures, it said that Adam was naming all things. It said that Yeshua allowed him to name all the creatures, and that he wanted to see what he would call them. I know you remember reading that. Okay, he wanted to see what he would call them. So they're up in the throne of the sun creating. And so then finally, after all of creation is on earth, okay, all of nature evolves, but it's man that is spontaneously created by Elohim. Okay, we didn't evolve. We're not of this world, other than we were, our body was made as a house, but from the minerals and salts. But our spirit is of Yahweh. We are the only creatures with, the spirit of a higher consciousness, and therefore, so what happened was, after all creation is here, then it says Adam fell asleep, and his falling asleep was the transition of coming out of the Garden of Eden, which is the atom. Eden is a code. It's the atom, atom. The sun is the atom. And Yeshua is the first atom. Okay? atom. I'm not going to go there today, but I can tell the story about that and show it to you in pictures. And so, with the alphabet. And so it says that then he took Adam out of Eden, the atom, the atomic sun, paradise, and placed him into the garden. And that is the earth, because the earth is a garden, is it not? How many of you work in the garden every day? I hear a lot of you ladies like to work in the garden. Well, this is a garden, right? And in fact, it's the only garden we can see in the cosmos. This is our home. We're in a bubble. We're trapped here. And good news is there's a lot of beautiful nature that provides for us. In fact, it's overabundant, even though they're killing it all now. And so that was how Adam fell asleep, because he transitioned from being of a type of a spirit, now coming down into a lower creation form. And when he opened his eyes, he became a divided creature, and he saw his counterpart, Eve. He opens his eyes, and what's the first thing he sees? His other half. He is now a divided creature. He's already in the fall. It's not like they had to do anything else. They're already in the fall. And but now get the picture. He was with Yeshua the entire time Yeshua made everything. He was with Yeshua. Adam knew how the entire universe was made, right? This is leading into how the great pyramids were built, ladies and gentlemen, how the anti-gravity vimanas were constructed by the Aryans, because they had knowledge that we can't even touch with the tips of our fingers. And the question is, where did this knowledge come from? As Graham Hancock says, it looks like it came on the scene in a split moment. And we go from primitive creations like the African or the Cro-Magnon or Neanderthals and all the others, and some that we don't even know about. And then all of a sudden, here's the knowledge. Where did it come from? Okay? I'm telling you where it comes from now. You're getting it. First time right now, okay? You got to hear first. Remember that. And so he knew about the free energy, how everything operated. how everything was a serpent in that sense. Everything spins from the atom to the planets, to the stars, to the galaxy, to the tornado, to the ocean. Everything spins. It has to spin. The plants spin, right? Everything spins because that's the energy that allows the friction to continue to to build. Nature builds upon itself, and so when he wakes up, he sees his counterpart, and she's smaller than him, she's weaker than him, and it follows the maxim that which is great cannot create anything greater than itself, but can only create something that is lower than itself or smaller, lesser than itself. And that's why woman is smaller, has smaller muscles, has more emotion within her makeup, would cry quicker. That's why when you go in a room and there's a baby there, all the women run over and want to see the baby. The guys are standing back against the wall trying to figure out, okay, that's a cute baby. Yeah, okay, yeah. But the women, we're so different, we're so different, and love women, okay? And we couldn't live without them, of course. And so get the picture. So we got Adam, who knows how the entire cosmos came to be. It was breathed into him by Yeshua, the Gnosis. And then we've got Eve, and she's there naked with him, and she doesn't know anything. She's naive, right? There's where the word came from. She's naive. She knows nothing because she wasn't there. She's the lower creation, just like when Yahweh said, "Let there be," and he forms creation. Well, it's not above him, it's below him. And in fact, it is the woman. Creation is the woman. And so that's the blind goddess. That's why in front of a courthouse you got a woman with a blindfold on, with balances in her hand, because that's known as the blind goddess, the Elohim. Okay, and so what happened was, then all of a sudden, after we see so we always thought of like Adam and Eve like two naked children, right? They're just like naked, and they don't know anything, and we feel sorry for them, right? But no, he knew everything about how this entire planet operates. Okay, minerals, free energy, the creatures of the ocean, plant life, you name it. He got it. And so all of a sudden another character shows up. Where did he come from? And then he said, but the serpent was not more subtle, but wiser. That would be the word. Because if you look in the Strong's Concordance, it doesn't say serpent. It says Naga. And I said that the words are abbreviated, and it was Nagash. And Nagash means the serpent that comes down. The serpent that comes down. Well, who was the serpent that came down? Who just came down from the Garden of Eden to the lower garden? Well, it was Adam. Okay, so you mean Adam is the Naga? That's right, because it means the wise serpent. And he was the wise serpent. He was the one who knew exactly. He was an archetype. He was a type of Yeshua, only in the fall. Okay, he fell from the light. And therefore he was going to meet his greatest test now, to see if he would use the knowledge to preserve his life or to lower himself to an animal type of creation, the lower chakras, you might say, the lower emotions, and the animal compulsions that affect us all and challenge us. And so it said that the Naga, the serpent, was wiser than them all, not more subtle, because it was like, and subtle is relevant because Eve was tricked. The woman took the rap. The woman takes the rap, but you know what? It's not really the woman's fault. Okay, that's the good news, ladies. Okay, I'm going to show it to you right now. If you haven't heard it or you can't see it yet, It's going to be quite a revelation. Because Adam knew, okay, he knew that all of those creatures out there having cute little chickadees and tiger cubs, all those animals are duplicating. And Eve is looking over there, you know, and they're saying, boy, aren't those little creatures cute? Yeah. And he says, don't you know that, you know, we can do that too? And she say, wait a minute, you know, didn't Elohim tell us that we could do anything we want in the garden, but there's one thing that we couldn't do? And he says, no, you know, the reason they said that because they know when you do this thing that you will perpetuate yourself without number. And you will be like Elohim because we will become creators just like them. And so when she heard this message, she thought about it, and it looked rather appealing to her, because not only could she perpetuate herself like the stars of heaven without number, but also it was to be something that would make someone wise and just like the great Elohim. And so it was just like Adam was saying, okay, come on, baby, you know, if we do this thing, it'll be okay. You know, to use our modern way of thinking, he was enticed by her. And so he tricked her. And so it says then that, and so that she took of the fruit, and when we read in the Septuagint, the first translation ever to come out of the Hebrew in Alexandria in circa 300 BC by Ptolemy, one of the Ptolemies commissioned it with Jerusalem, and it was in the Koine Greek, and in there it says that, and she took from the fruit and found pleasure, and that she gave to Adam the fruit, and he found pleasure. So the fruit was the action of what they were doing. And then the joke today is, of course, that, well, there's a fruit of the loom, right? They got the fruit of the loom underwear, kind of like laughing, the Zionists laughing in our face again, saying you don't get the picture of what the fruit is, right? So I'm going to elaborate now, and I'm going to prove to you that that Adam was the serpent, okay, and is the serpent, okay? Because let's take a look at the pictures now, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the serpent then was cursed. What's the first thing that happened? Is Yahweh comes down at the sunrise in the morning, and not Yahweh, but Yeshua, great Elohim. He's walking through the garden looking for them. Can't find him. And he says, Adam, where are you? And he says, well, I'm over here hiding in the bushes. He says, why are you hiding? He says, well, because we found out we were naked. Oh, and how did you know you were naked? Well, we did the thing you told us not to do. Oh, okay. And so how come you did it? He says, well, this woman that you gave me, you know, she enticed me. And he says, why did you do it? And she says, well, the serpent beguiled me. And she's pointing right back at him. The Naga, not serpent, the Naga, the wise serpent, the one I was counting on, the one to give me the truth, lied to me. He tricked me. And now we're in this dilemma. You see? And that's been the problem of man and woman ever since, right? The woman's pointing at the man pointing at the woman. And that is the two opposing forces, male and female, light and darkness, right? It's the greatest dilemma that we have in this earth. And you know, and so that, and our distinctions as being so different, you know, is beautiful and a blessing, and at the same time it seems to be a liability and a curse at times, right? I mean, it's amazing. So and that's what we have to conquer. We conquer it with the truth. So let's find out now who the serpent really is, okay? Okay, and so when we came into the world, what did we look like? Right? We came from the fruit of the man, from his loins, from the testicles. That's the fruit. And we come through the event horizon, and we enter the woman. And what do we look like? They call it a sperm, but it's not sperm. That's not, they abbreviated the word. Like I say, they abbreviate all words. It's the spore, the sporum, the sporum. And, and, uh, and doesn't it look like a serpent? A microscopic serpent, right? On the atomic level, practically. Okay? So when we came into the world, we looked like a serpent, didn't we? So let's take this a little further, you know? And so what he told them when he cursed them, well, when he cursed the serpent, specifically, didn't say Adam, didn't say Eve, he cursed the serpent. And he says, from the dust of the earth you came, and dust you're going to eat. You're going to eat the dust. Now, let me ask you something. Do you eat the dust of the earth every day? Don't you eat the minerals and the salts and the proteins, right, of the earth? In fact, you can't live without eating the earth, the dirt, right? Probiotics transform the dirt, and you eat it every day. So you see, so we're cursed, right? Because we want to live forever, we want to transcend this world, and we can't stop eating food, or we die, right? Yeshua said, "Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the great Elohim." Okay, and so if you have a servant, well, you can hear, as you know, people have been following the slant that they put on words. It's almost there, but it's not there. And once you put it back in original form, you can hear it, like the word savior is shavor, and the word savior shower is shavor. We talked about that the other day. So servant, if I had a servant, what I would have said was, you know, and we're talking original thought. We're talking a couple thousand years ago and plus. If I had a servant, I would have said, he is my serpent. He is my serpent. Why? Because he goes around in circles and he does everything I tell him to do. Go do this, go do that. Come back over here and give me some of that. You know, he's my serpent. My servant. My serpent. You hear it? Okay. And in fact, the V and the P are synonymous, then they switch them out. They did it in Europe, okay, with the fabricated European countries. And what do they worship? You know, what do they worship as being more important than everything else? Well, of course, you know, when she pointed at him and, you know, implying the serpent, well, we know that the male phallus is the, you know, a symbol also of the serpent, and that the, you know, it had to be circumcised because it had to have the flesh come off of it, okay, which was symbolic of, like, a snake sheds its skin, right? A snake sheds its skin, and also we're told that we have to shed our skin, right, in order to live. We have to die to this world metaphysically in order to live. And so it's like going into the grave, but not literally, but metaphorically, and come out of the grave in Yeshua, a new life. Being then the masters, not slaves to the flesh, but masters over the flesh, which is what the original intention was. But Adam, in his struggle and looking at that beautiful woman next to him with no clothes on, you know, finally said, you know, I think I want some of this, and I want to, you know, we can have a family, and we can you know, have commerce and build civilizations. You know, no telling what he thought. Wasn't that the temptation? Wasn't that exactly the temptation of Yeshua in the wilderness, right? You know, he's there starving to death at the end, and they put it first. You know, they reverse everything, so they put it first, but it was the last thing, and he was near starvation, and then not the Satan, because Satan was a corruption of the word serpent. Okay, now we're getting back to where we started. The Satan is actually the serpent, but what is the serpent? The serpent is the flesh, and the flesh is mastered by the ego. And so when Yeshua is laying there on the ground, starving to death, with vultures flying overhead, and a bobcat and a couple animals surrounding him, waiting for him to die so they can eat his flesh, and he's starving, and then his ego is telling him, the serpent is telling him, you know that you can turn this stone into bread and save your life, don't you? And he says, yeah, but man does not live by bread alone. but by every word that Yahweh, breathes. And so he refused to make bread for himself, but we know that he could have made it bread, right? Because he made bread for 5,000 and then bread for what, 4,000 or another group of a couple thousand. He made bread, but he wouldn't do it for himself. He wouldn't do it to satisfy his selfish need. And what did it say then? And then it said, and the corrupt translation says angels, but it was really malachim, and that means royal messengers, and that was his family. His family went looking for him, and they found him, and it says that they ministered to him. They brought him back to health, brought him back to life. So he was tested by his flesh. He was tempted by his ego, and then in the end, what did he do with it? He nailed it to the cross, just like Moses 1,500 years earlier, when he was told that with the sting of death, if you nail the serpent to the cross, you can live, if you can see it. And I know that you can't see it yet, but you're going to see it now. Okay? So every day when you get up, what do you put on? Now, I know typically women, classically wear dresses, but most women today typically wear pants also. And so when we get up, we all put on a shirt and we all put on pants, right? Now listen to the words. Let's say it 3 times fast. Shirt pants, shirt pants, shirt pants, serpent, serpent. You hear it? The Zionists are laughing all the way to the bank. They named the very garments that you put on when you put them together, create the serpent. Shirt, pants, serpent. Are we having fun yet, ladies and gentlemen? Am I crazy? I'd love to see all your reactions right now. Because I know what I'm saying here. I know that I know that I know. And this is how they deceived us, because they didn't want us to recognize that the enemy is man. Man and his ego has always been the enemy. There are no invisible creatures out there that fly around and go bump in the night. That's the big lie. If you listen to my Uncommon Awareness series, just go to, start at number 6, 7, 8, 9. You'll hear it, okay? I mean, even the occult, Lucifer is, the Masons and the priesthood. That's Lucifer. It's men who wear dresses. It's the men who wear dresses, ladies and gentlemen. That's the woman, okay? They are the woman. Because wow, thank you, Lynn, very much. But my question is, can you see it? Do you see it, Lynn? Okay? I mean, it's okay if you don't. Maybe you got to meditate on it and pray. But let me see if I've got one more clue. And, of course, your tongue. I think even in one of the scriptures it says that the tongue is like a serpent, right? So we got the symbolism, both the men and the women, of the serpent tongue. It's got a fork on it sometimes, and we sometimes didn't say the truth. But, we came in as the sporum, and the sporum was a serpent. And then what they labeled the primitives. You see, the primitives, what we're talking about is the way they spoke and the way they thought back then, not the way the serpent priesthood twisted everything so that we could never get the picture. Okay? I hope you're getting the picture, ladies and gentlemen. I'd play a song right now if I had my data, because this is time for a song and to get on with the next story, because I gave it to you. You heard it here first. And Lynn Mitzi's saying, it's my bedtime, y'all. Thank you. We'll catch your return. Okay. And yeah, I'm sure you'll be staring at the ceiling when you go to bed tonight. So have a great night, and thank you for tuning in. Peace and love, okay, and enlightenment. So so there you go, and we're gonna do the ABCs of light now coming up. So so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. What you do with it is your business, okay? I'm only the messenger, and I know there's some people that will probably want to shoot me, but that's okay, because you see, I only wanted to know. It doesn't. I don't care, what other people. I wish everybody could see what I'm able to see here, and be able to wrap their minds around it, because It's an occultic world, and we came into the world and we heard nothing but lies. And so the ABCs of light, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm now gonna get ready to go to camera because I've got the graphics I want to show you on the ABCs of light. So stand by. I'm gonna just set something up here. I'm gonna try something new on the broadcast, and we're gonna go for a. I've got a whiteboard, and so therefore we're going to look at the alphabet. It's going to be better to see it. Yeah, I don't think you're going to look at things the same anymore, Mona Lisa, because you know, once you take that red pill, right? I mean, come on, it's like going down the rabbit hole, and but it's good, you know. Everything has an original meaning, and what it's simply, you can imagine we're talking about, you know, what started potentially eight at a minimum 8,000 years ago, or 10,000 years ago, when it all, you know. Well, yeah, heart and thought, thank you, but prayer, meditation. You know, I'm not smart enough to figure this out. It's, you know, it's Yeshua who is the revealer. You see, in the metaphor, Yeshua is also a serpent, okay, and he's also known as the serpent hand. He's the serpent hand is the servant hand. When he told Moses to put it on, you know, the cross, the serpent, what he was saying was his flesh is the serpent, but Yeshua was a Naga healer. And what does Naga healer mean? Naga healer means the serpent healer. So they referred to him. Remember, I said, you know, for the transliteration project I'm doing, I'm going to do healer and pure breather of light. But actually, he was the serpent healer. That's what they would have called him back then. You see, and so what they did was, rather than call him, and also the wise man, meaning that he could you know, twist the thoughts. He could receive the visions and revelations like nobody else. So he was a Naga wise man. But when they called him a carpenter, the carpenter was also known as a Naga. He wasn't the carpenter. He was the Naga wise man. But a Naga carpenter means one who twists wood. Okay, because if you were a carpenter back then, it just didn't mean, you know, like you built houses. You made furniture, you made wooden tools, you made the plow. And so you had to use water and steam, and you twisted the wood. You were a wood twister. And that's the Naga. You see, so it was a universal thought. It meant a carpenter, it meant a wise man, you know, and probably a few other things that I don't even know yet. But primarily, and one who worked with words would have been a Naga, because he's twisting words. He's bending the words. He's, you know, he's you know, so yeah, it's, you know, we're trying to see back into the past. We're not there. We've got nobody who comes forward other than Yeshua. And that's the good news, because he was there. And therefore, he's the one who reveals. So now we're going to go to camera. Let me just take a sip real quick, and we're going to talk about the ABCs of light. And thank you for being there with the Forbidden History. And now let's click on the camera here, ladies and gentlemen. Stand by. Okay. And good evening, everybody. Glad to have you. So we're going to start with the alphabet in A. And the A is the AY in the beginning. In other words, when we use the word for I, EYE, that's a corruption. And it's actually AY. So I can put a Y next to that. Let me find my tool here. I should have done that, forgive me, but I'll do it right now. Okay. So I put the Y up there, and the Y is also the symbol for yellow. And so that's how they spell the I. But we can forget about that as far as starting with the ABCs, but I just want to show you that is the first word for the I, the AY, and it's pronounced A, like the long A, okay? And so if I were going to be talking about, my eyes, back then I wouldn't say my eyes. I would be saying my A, because the A is the first letter of the alphabet, and that's the first thing you look at when you look at the alphabet, and the A is your eye. And so just like a carrot, okay, you're looking out. And what happens when you look out? The horizon continues to get bigger. I think Annie got it. What about Cain and the pre-Adamites? Well, we got a lot of ground to cover, but we'll have to go there one day. And so the first letter of the alphabet is the A, and you can see how it projects out like a carrot. So it's the symbol of the eye. It starts with the point, and then it goes out and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, projecting out to infinitum, just like the sunlight. Sunlight keeps projecting out. Okay? And so there's the I. That's the first thing you look at in the alphabet. And then you go, we have to look at a more primitive letter A. And so before they gave us the modern A, they had a chevron right there, the chevron. Okay, where am I going to do this? There's a chevron. And what does that look like? Doesn't that chevron look like a V? Okay. And so is it hiding something? Is it hiding something? Is it telling us something that nobody's telling us unless we can read the symbol? Well, I'm telling you that the letter A is hiding its opposite reflection. And the opposite of an A is a V. They are both chevrons, right? One is upside down, the other one is right side up. And so if we want to get the real picture, it's right here, from here, because this right here is an incompletion of a full picture. And I'm going to show you the picture right now. Ready? Here we go. Get the picture? That's the picture that we get with that, right here. Okay? That's the Zionist star. This crossbeam right here, is incomplete. You see, I can complete it by going like this. See? It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but that's what it's creating an image of, you see? And so the A represents a star. And don't they call the A the all-seeing eye? Don't they call it the all-seeing eye? Of course they do. The sun is the all-seeing eye because it represents the great spirit of life. Represents the great spirit of life. I gotta clean up that A now. I messed it up. Okay, so there's the A again. And so what does then the A symbolize? It symbolizes the star. The first letter A of the alphabet represents the eye, the all-seeing eye of the great spirit of life. You know, the counterfeits, the Masons and the Kabbalists, they have their own, they claim the all-seeing eye, but the all-seeing eye is not evil by itself. It's just that the occult claim it, but the truth is our Father, our Heavenly Father, Yeshua also, are see all things, so they are all seeing as well. And the occult are blind. We know the occult are blind. So okay, so the A represents the beginning. It represents the I, and our I is called the A because that's the first letter, the first thing we look at. And so the V is the second letter of the alphabet. It was hiding. They hid it from us, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the B. The B is a code. The B is a code, and here it is, right here. I just moved this. I'm going to have to figure out how to do this stuff. Okay? There it is. The B is a code. And it's two symbols. When you split it apart, you get number 13. And it represents the moon, because the moon is on a lunar cycle. And so when the occult, well, what they did, you see, because the V represents the virgin light that came down, and the A represents the sun, the occult hid the V, the second letter of the alphabet, in the A, whereas you can see it belongs in the Zionist star, or the Star of David. The six-pointed star does represent the sun, but it's also a symbol of the occult. It never belonged to David. This is not the Star of David. It's the star came out of India. And so the B is a code. They replaced the V with the B, and it is a code. And it's number 13. And so they replaced the sun, the virgin light, the V, with the B. You can see it represents the breast. There are two breasts there of the woman. And so it means two sources representing sun and moon. That's why a capital B, the upper breast is smaller and the lower curve is bigger, because one represents sun, one represents moon. And but it's claiming the 13 lunar cycles. Okay, so so that's what we have, ladies and gentlemen, with the alphabet. Okay, and so I wanted to give one more expression of the alphabet, just like a primer. I'm giving you a primer. I'm going to do a different letter every night. Okay, so so then we've got A, T. Okay, and so this is the first and last letter of the original alphabet. The first and last letter of the original alphabet, A-T. That's Aleph and Tau. And so the A-T coming together represent creation. Okay? Because it's the complete alphabet from beginning to end. And therefore it represents creation. And therefore, without the alphabet and without the ability to communicate, we could create nothing. We could not talk to each other. Be like the Tower of Babel when nobody could talk to each other. They walk away from the project. So the A-T are silent letters. The first A in the alphabet is a consonant. It is not a vowel. The vowel is represented as a vowel point. And so the first sound goes to the V, as in victory, as in virgin, ultraviolet. But it was supplemented with the B. So Abraham, that's why you may notice that in the Zionist Jewish society, they sometimes spell Abraham as Avraham. Avraham, A-V, because they're telling the truth. They know the truth, and that the B is really hiding, covering for the V. Okay? So that is the great mystery, ladies and gentlemen. That is the trick out. That is occultic. That is not how the truth is supposed to come to us in code words so that nobody gets the picture. But Yeshua is a revealer, and therefore it is possible to know there is nothing in secret that cannot be, cannot be known. There's nothing unknown that cannot be known. This universe is meant to know anything that you can conceive of and want to know. You can know, and it can be revealed. Yeshua is the revealer. So I wanted to give you that, okay? And hope that got your appetite whet for some more of the alphabet. And so what we're going to talk next about is one additional word. And I wanted to show you this book. This is a Bible that was done by an attorney in Montana. He's even got the book of Jasher in here and the book of Jubilees and a couple lost books. Put them back in here, but he didn't decode all the Hebrew. But he went into the Hebrew. He's an expert on the Hebrew, and but the name of the book he's calling it is Sefer. Yeah, everything's a firestorm possibly, but Sefer is cipher and it means code. So without realizing it, he's admitting that the Hebrew is a code. People are studying Hebrew and they don't get it. We have to get past the Hebrew into the original Aramaic and the Indo-Germanic mother tongue. That's the secret. They diverted us with the Hebrew and the Greek, and we're lost, going on the merry-go-round. We got to get past it. Sefer means code. And he says that it means book, because the next word we're going to deal with is Bible, and they say it means book, but it is Bible does not mean book. Okay, it's a code. Just like Sefer does not mean book. It is a code, and it means cipher. It's telling you that the Hebrew is a code book, and they don't want you to know the meaning. They are controlling you by controlling the words. That's the name of the game, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we're being set free with the words. Okay, so I want to cool everybody down with a little of the other view we had the other day, and go back to the Antarctic picture. I like that one. So, okay, and so now let's go into the final part of In a Word, the Piracy of Words. And we're dealing with the word Bible, okay? The word Bible. And Bible is a code. Okay, love, you cannot silence love, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Very good. And want to welcome any new listeners that have come on here tonight. Okay, if you're a new listener, this is all being recorded, so you're not missing anything. But the word Bible is a code, and so it's you might want to write it down. It'll be easier for you to follow. I was asked to do this one, and so Bible, we could see, the Bible. You can hear the sound. It should be Bibel, and El is a prime root for Elohim and illumination. And so Bible is Bibel, and bib. You know what a bib is, right, mothers? You put it on a baby because it's a covering. And so a Bibel means the covering. The covering. Okay, Mona Lisa, I guess you're dropping off. If that's the case, very good. Thank you for stopping by. And this all being recorded. You can pick it up and hear the rest of it tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, and yeah, I'm sure you'll be thinking about this. Nothing like being called a serpent, right? It's okay, because everything in this universe is spinning and is a serpent. And so the Bibel is the bib of the El, means the covering. And so what I've been pointing out all along is that the occult use religion to control the world. Okay, they use religion. And praise the Heavenly Father and Yeshua Jesus, Annie. I'm glad you're enjoying this so much. That's fantastic. You're obviously a smart lady, and it's great to meet wonderful new people here in this profound modern time we have with this forum. Here it used to be people weren't even able to talk but writing letters, and now we got instant communication. It's amazing, isn't it? So there's a lot more going on with the word Bible, I've got I wish I could go into my notes. I got 40,000 3x5 cards with notes on them. Um, but Bible is the main element. There's about 3 different codes in there, and it's been a while since I looked at it, so I'm just doing this off the cuff. But the covering of the L means the covering of the the enlightened ones. But the enlightened ones are the ones controlling it. They call themselves Gnostics. They call themselves the Balai Suits, the masters. They are the Kabbalists. They are the ones controlling Freemasonry. They're the arrogant culture that love to control people and and drink blood at the same time. So they use religion as their weapon against mankind. That's why the Roman political state knew that it had to convert itself into the Roman Holy Empire, into religion, because religion is the opium. People will follow blindly. They might question a political state, but once you get people into the religion and they think you're representing God, whatever that means to you, then they'll follow you blindly into a battle. You see, they converted the man of peace, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, into a militaristic front, right? The Knights Templars carrying their red cross and their sword in their hand. Well, there's the red cross that's inverted when it became the Swiss cross, right? And so ladies and gentlemen, the religion is the opium of the world, and that's how they control us. They control the words. And they did it for the benefit of Annie O100 here, Annie O100. They did it outside the Vatican, Annie. You may not have listened to the other programs, but outside the Vatican, they control the words at a place called the College of Abbreviators, run by the Jesuit Curii. Okay, run by the Jesuit. They put the cure in your eye, and so you can't see unless a miracle happens to you. But you seem to be breathing and absorbing this in, and so you're obviously up on a higher level than most people. I'm looking for something. I'm looking for my book. Okay, while I'm talking. And so we're in the last segment, ladies and gentlemen, and I appreciate being with such wonderful people and having somebody to talk to. I can't tell you what it's been like not being able to broadcast for the last year when I'm chomping at the bit, wanting to share what Yeshua has given to me, and its death, not to to be able to share what's so important. Like you said, where there is no knowledge, people perish where there is no knowledge, and people perish for lack of where there is no vision. It's all about seeing. That's what behold means. You must see and read it for yourself. And so we're in the original gospel, the one that they hid away from us, probably in the basement of the Vatican. And so I'm going to read just 2 chapters. I'm doing a couple chapters every night for the benefit of our new listeners. And we're just moving right into the first 3 years of Yeshua's story. Okay? And this is totally synoptic with Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and also part of John. We know John was a very unique version, but Matthew, Mark, and Luke are synoptic in here. I'm wearing down. I got to tell you, my voice, I'm feeling it. I'm going to keep on, at least do 1 chapter. Okay, let me say that. And if anybody wants to call in, I will take a call. You can still call in. It's okay. I put my phone up to my mic, my headset mic, and we can hear it. And I've just learned a new trick on lowering my volume at the same time when we're doing it. So it's not perfect, but we can still talk. You're welcome. Or if you want to call after the program, say hello. You got a question? I'm good to go for that too. I'm here to serve. I'm usually up till midnight Eastern time every night, and usually at 7 in the morning. So always happy to take a call. And like if you got a question and you don't want to do it on the program, I'll be happy to entertain a question about what we're talking about here. Yeshua wants me to put it all on the table, and I'm putting it on the table, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. And by the way, just want to mention, if you want to get a copy of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary, 300 pages, 8.5 by 11, then you can do that real easy by going to therealpublicradio.net, 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 and then there's a PayPal button there, and just hit that PayPal button, and any size donation, okay, I don't care how big, and if you can't make a donation, I'll be glad to send it to you anyway, okay? So we need support for our translation project. We want to get the Book of Wisdom published into the Friends in Prison, the good people, the innocent people that got railroaded into prison as part of the slavery racket, and they got their birth certificate on Wall Street. But the Book of Wisdom also, for any size donation, you can get a copy of the Book of Wisdom. So so feel free to donate if you're able to. If not, just contact us. The contact page is there. Or you can just email me, contact@freeamericaradio.com. Contact@freeamericaradio.com. Okay. And and one more thing before we do the read. If you want to support your health and support this ministry and support my sponsors, then you can. And I'm giving out a link to one of our friends today, because if you sign up for free with this particular health program called Basic Reset, no obligation to buy every month, and if you share it with friends, you can get paid weekly, good commissions up front, and it will support our project. We have a lead share program, and so on the broadcast, anybody who signs up, we sign them up under our friends. Okay, so as our broadcast continues to grow, well, guess what? So will your your organization that will help sponsor under you through the broadcast. We're all supporting each other here. So go to this website, ladies and gentlemen. Live Free, number 2. It's just a 2, 1 digit. Live Free, and then a 2. Okay, Live Free 2 dot BasicReset.com. That's Live Free 2 dot BasicReset.com. Okay, and that's one of the friends of our broadcast, and we're going to help our most of our friends are struggling today. They can't pay their bills either, and so we're going to use this broadcast to help friends that are supporting this broadcast. I've got a unique concept called the Master Force Group, and so we're going to as people continue to join, sign up our friends under friends, and we'll give out your link as well, everybody in a rotation, equal order rotation, as we develop our program here. Okay, so we're in the original gospel, and thank you for your support and for your prayers as well, ladies and gentlemen. We need them, and we're in very difficult times, and so Yeshua has just opened up the floodgate of information and knowledge for all of us to benefit from, and mine has been a long journey to get here, and so and we know everything is temporary in this world, and I'm sure it'll pull the plug on me real soon here, or sooner or later. That's okay. Somebody's going to pull a plug on them too. Okay, so we're in chapter 60. So the 7 days of silence passed. They're in Alexandria, for those who are new. We're in Alexandria just prior to Yeshua going back to Jerusalem. And he's with Philo, his good friend. Philo, who wrote the giant work, The Works of Philo. You can get at Christian Book Distributors out of Peabody, Massachusetts, The Works of Philo. Okay? And they're with the 7 sages that are there. These are enlightened men. Just like the 3 wise men came to him when he was born. Okay, there was a group of enlightened people, and they hung out with each other, especially in Alexandria. So 7 days of silence passed, and Yeshua, sitting with the sages, said, "The history of life is well condensed in these immortal postulates. These are the 7 hills on which the pure city will be built." Speaking of the spiritual Zion. Okay. These are the 7 sure foundation stones on which the universal body of the called out ones, the perfect circle, the church, will stand in taking up the work assigned for me to do. And by the way, Yeshua is there. He's there with the 7 sages, okay, just to clarify. And I am full conscious of the perils of the way. I'm trying to see... oh, this is Yeshua speaking. Okay, I should have read the primer here. He's speaking to the 7 sages. Okay, so let me back up and start this again. The 7 days of silence passed, and Yeshua, sitting with the sages, breathed. The history of life is well condensed in these immortal postulates. These were the postulates we just read last night. You got the recording there. These are the 7 hills or mountains upon which the only true anointed city will be built. These are the 7 sure foundation stones on which the universal church will stand. In taking up the work assigned for me to do, I am fully conscious of the perils of the way. The cup will be a bitter one to drink, and earthly nature well might shrink. I have lost my will in that of the holy breath. In other words, I've lost my own will within that of the holy breath. And so I go my way to speak and act as I am moved to speak and act by the holy breath. The words I speak are not my own. They are the shavors, the words of him whose will I perform. A blood of the earth is not far enough advanced in sacred thought to comprehend the universal church. And so the work that Yahweh has given to me to do is not the building of that church. I am the model maker sent to make a pattern of that body of the called out ones, the church. That is, to be a pattern that the age may comprehend. My task as model builder lies within my native land. And there, upon the postulate that love is the son of Yahweh, that I am come to reveal that true Travain love, the model temple where it will stand. And from the men of low estate, I will select 12 blood of the earth, who represent the 12 immortal thoughts, and these will be the model of the church. The house of Judah, my own relations in the flesh, will comprehend but little of my mission to the world. They will spurn me, scorn my work, accuse me falsely, bind me, take me to the judgment seat of carnal men who will convict and slay me on the cross. But men can never slay the truth. Though banished, it will come again in greater power, for the truth will capture the world and subjugate it. The model church will live, though carnal man will prostitute its sacred laws, symbolic rites and forms for selfish ends, and make it but an outward show. The few will find through it the kingdom of the soul. And when the bitter age will come, the universal church will stand upon the 7 postulates and be built according to the pattern given. The time has come. I go my way to Jerusalem, and by the power of the living victory of light, and by the strength that you have given, and in the royal title of Yahweh, our Father, the great Elohim, the kingdom of the soul will be established on the 7 hills, and all the people, tribes, and tongues of the earth will enter in. The Prince of Peace, the Shalom of eternal peace, will take his seat upon the throne of power in the throne of the Son. The triune Elohim will then be all in one. And all the sages breathed Yamun. And Yeshua went his way, and after many dayel and days he reached Jerusalem, and there he sought his home in Galilee. And when we pick it up tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be in section 3, Mem, the ministry of Yalkanan, the harbinger. And you'll hear a part of the story about John when he begins his ministry, and virtually nobody has heard that before. And it looks like Annie is having some of her own revelations there. Babel, baby, yeah, you got that. The Babylon is baby lion. Okay, Babylon is baby lion. And so the full-grown lion became the Vatican. The full-grown lion, Babylon was the baby lion, and then the Vatican became the full-grown beast system, all right? Put two and two together. It's in the words. And so there you got it, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not sure, just in time opening up the books. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not too sure about those other, what you mean on those other comments, but glad you're enjoying it, Annie O. Does that stand for Annie Oakley? With 100 scored, never missed a shot, right? Okay, well, we'll find out. Anyway, and you're always welcome to call in. That'd be great. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. You just got the original gospel right here, and I'm so grateful you tuned in tonight, and that we could be a part of your spiritual walk and help you to find a way back through the maze of all the great lies and deception that they've created for us, and with the hopes of fulfilling your walk on earth in Yeshua, in your Redeemer. And because, as he says, that many seek to enter in, but few are going to be saved. Well, what in the world does that mean? How does that happen? If I love him with all my heart, okay, because the beast system is here to deceive us. To deceive us, okay? So it is possible to be deceived and led astray. And so that's why we got to get back to original words, because they did it with the word. What's in a word? Everything is in a word, okay? And so with that, let's call it a wrap. We look for us tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And so just don't forget, if you want to know the future, then it's important, ladies and gentlemen. You need to look for the forbidden history. I'm Desert Owl, thanking you for tuning in and wishing you all the best and a good night.